Does Aristotle say the bones come first and then the flesh and the muscles?
Is that what
I'm not saying it. Can you are you sure?
Is that what the Quran specifically says?
Absolutely. This is exactly what the Quran says. Chapter 23.
Because you just demonstrated the Quran is wrong. First is you have differentiation of mesoderm.
Right.
That within the mesoderm you have segregation into things like embryonic mesenchyme, and then you have these cartilaginous centers that will form bone.
Right.
And these are forming simultaneously with each other.
Right. Right.
And these are forming simultaneously with each other.
Right. Right.
And these are forming simultaneously with each other.
Right.
So this is the verse in question. I want just to draw attention to the usage of the letter fa. Now this fa is a conjunction and it has the meaning of then. The way it's translated in the verse is and, but according to the classical commentaries of the Quran, the ones that I've looked at a couple, and they all suggest that it is for what is known as tartib, or order. So there is order, and this is how most people look at the verse, as it's describing the stages of embryology. So that's one point. And secondly, and this is the section that is in question specifically, is the following. These are the two statements made by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and there's a fa separating them. So it would suggest that one follows the other. And the embryologist, he actually stated that in embryological studies, that the bones and flesh form simultaneously. There was a misconception, I think, by the Muslim person that was speaking to him, who suggested that it was referring to order. One happened after the other. Now what I'm going to be presenting in this particular video is not my own opinion. This is from a classical exegesis that was written centuries before anyone knew about any of these stages in any detail. So the point of the matter is, there's a relationship between these two statements. So it says, خَلَقَنَا الْمُدْغَةَ عِظَامًا. We created the mudgha into idham. So a mudgha is a lump of flesh, and idham are bones. So the question is the whole lump of flesh turning into bones, or is it part of the mudgha that's turning into bones? The translation says that it's we made from the lump of flesh, bones. And this is actually supported by the classical commentaries. And the reason why is because lahm is actually mentioned in the next statement after this fa. So we have here mudgha, which is a lump of flesh. So you can imagine, I'll just draw this. We have a lump of flesh, and then we made this lump of flesh into idham, bones. So you can imagine there's bones there. Then it says after this, kasawna al-idham, lahma. We actually clothed these bones. And what did we use to clothe these bones? Lahm. So the lahm is what is used to clothe the bones. Al-mudgha is also lahm. It's a lump of lahm. But the point to note is that the verb used was not khalaqana. So you notice that in each of the steps, khalaqana, khalaqana, khalaqana. But here it's kasawna, meaning that it was already there. This lahm was already there. And the fact that al-mudgha turned into lahm means that it actually grew during the period when the actual idham, the bones, were formed, which indicates that the flesh, some of it changed into bone and some of it didn't, and some of it was used to clothe the bone. And just a final point is, we have here al-mudgha, as we said, was a lump of flesh, and in the next step the bones are clothed in flesh. So this lahm, this flesh, is a much greater size than al-mudgha. So what is happening, if we have here the mudgha, over time it's getting bigger and bigger, and that's what the verse indicates. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.